Well, Nigeria 2015 here on Channels Television. Don't forget the hashtag Nigeria 2015 and, of course, the Twitter handles for you to be part of this. There you have them, 4 of them there, and you all can also send messages. It goes beyond 140 characters. You have the email option there for you, Nigeria2015@channelstv.com. A quick reminder here that for our UK viewers, you can watch us live on Sky. Channels 575, that is Channels 24 right there in the UK, and well, you'll be on to this program. A quick one here, you also can send in your selfies as well as videos. The videos should be not more than 15 seconds, and we'll put them together and you got to watch them here. Wherever you are in the country, what's happening in your locality. But before the break, we were actually looking at how these candidacy, how far the politicians have been or close they have been to the electorates, and how people have had their voting patterns, looking at how these have actually been played out since 1999 till date. And I did say when we come back, we'll be asking Dr. Nadia and as well as others if this would ultimately show us the way towards independent candidates. Let me start with Maliki Ugumadu on this particular one. Looking at the trend so far, do you think that we may likely in the nearest foreseeable future get into independent candidacy?
Well, I think the consensus out there is that it is desirable. But at the moment, the position of the law, expressly speaking, is that it is not tenable. In the sense that for you to be able to vie for any position, any elective position in Nigeria today, you must not just belong to a political party, you must be sponsored by that political party. Now, that brings me to the very important need of the role of the political party itself. The reason I entered that caveat is to say that, look, the Nigerian people have also seen instances in which they would have wished that a particular candidate different from the party that eventually emerged won that particular election. But it has become extremely difficult because until that person belongs to that political party and that party sponsors him or her, he stands no chance in the eye of the law today. Now, this whole this idea has become a little complicated because of the culture and activities of the political parties themselves. And I'm speaking specifically about what goes on with primaries, for instance. We have seen the primaries conducted by virtually all the political parties, particularly the leading political parties, and seen that that exercise constituted a major challenge across board, where the wishes of the people regarding those whom they voted for never saw the light of the day. So in one sense, they are happy that their party is participating in an election. But in a stronger sense, they are unhappy that the person whom they voted for in the primaries never saw the light of the day. I am saying this because I'm not just involved, I'm involved in at the level of pre-election matters. And I can tell you specifically that in some cases, people who were eventually given the slot never contested for that position. You could see somebody who contested for governorship, but because he has his way with the leadership of the party, emerges as a candidate for House of Rent or Senate or whatever. This has been a total introduces a total disconnect between the candidates and the people.
And that's why
if they had their way, they would have wished that the person whom they voted for emerged as the candidate of the party, leading them into the general election. Again, it underscores the state of our political parties. Look, the political parties in the entire scheme of democratization exercise ought to be the engine room that that produces where the ideas by which the people are expected to identify with the party are not just generated, they are fine-tuned and produced in such a way that all that comes out of the party represents the model that people should vote out for. But where you now have a party that has the penchant of throwing up somebody who is not even accepted, because when you say somebody lost a primary election, yet you have another person imposed on them. What it means is that the people of that party do not believe in that your candidate. Failure starts from there, the disconnect starts from there, and then the total disenchantment of the people starts from there. But they have no option because you don't have
Well, some people will say that this entire transparency and focus on the candidates now might force political parties to start thinking otherwise. Do you agree with them?
I can't understand that.
The fact that the people's votes now count. It's not a question of political parties saying, well, we're popular here, we've always had this place, and it's going to be business as usual. The credibility of your candidate is also at stake. Do you think that will force political parties now to look inwards and look more towards internal democracy?
More than forcing them, it leaves them with little or no option. Because we've seen it play out. And when I'm talking, I have at the back of my mind specific concrete cases where these parties failed.
Indeed.
Failed not because they are no longer political parties or leading political parties, but on account of those, preceding challenges. So it is not just that it will force them, they indeed will have no option other than to key into the will of the people.
Let's quickly hear Captain Umar Ali on this, because you seem to be so interested in all of this. Lack of internal democracy in parties.
Yes, talking about connect, there has been none. There has been none, and that played a very, very decisive role in what we call electorate awareness today. The awareness levels you have seen today as in the 2015 elections. The only time you see a connect between politicians and the citizenry is pre-elections. Once they get the people to sign the I do, that's all.
Which is the ballot.
Exactly. That is. Then there was no even election. There was selection. We saw elections some 2 weeks ago. Hitherto we have selections.
Crossboard.
And these selections are actually informed by the system he spoke about, where you just bring someone out because he is anointed and he is the man of the moment, he's the man you want there. You cannot have issue-based, issue-driven political parties. And talking about political parties at the moment, I assure you that the futuristic parties that will survive in this country going forward are parties that begin to pay attention to branding, are parties that begin to pay attention to what we call manifesto, parties that have focus, direction, parties that can bring to the table superior argument, not parties that have sons of important people, or parties that have people who know people, and no one knows anything. All that has gone with these 2015 elections.
Well, Dr. Naji, I wanted to comment also on this same line of argument. You have seen a couple of times the argument on the floor of the UK Parliament, and you see how vibrant and intelligent people bring up their points. Bring that back home and marry that with selection process that have actually thrown some of these people into elective offices without any focus on any assembly. But we're talking about, at the end of the day, do we have intelligent arguments that can actually benefit the people in terms of governance?
Let me start by making a general statement that there is today a global demand for good governance. And it subsumes all the arguments that we have been making here about primaries, internal democracy, and what have you. If a flight leaves by 2 p.m., it is your business, if you are a passenger in that flight, to arrange yourself to meet up with the time that have been set. Okay? There's nothing whimsical or capricious about it. So, if a goal is defined, the electoral process is defined, every participant in that electoral process will key in, willy-nilly, or you are shipped out. The point, therefore, we are making is that if you talk about Ivy League universities, the process of admission is discriminatory against those who are idiots. If I may use that word. Yes, because psychologically we know there are morons, we have idiots, we have precocious children, we have intelligent ones, and so on and so forth. So the system, first of all, selects those who must come in. And it is just a question of garbage in, garbage out. If you had good meal, your body will be in tune with it. And so when you are going to help nature, you are not going to begin to fight battle about how to release. Because the process of metabolism is already defined for good food. But when you eat junks, you end up diarrhea or constipation or any other thing. But that is just to bring it home to individual level. So when you have those who have nothing to offer, because politics is not for everybody. Politics is not for everybody. It's unlike our own climb. You must have been prepared. You must come to table with something.
And that's why I asked that question earlier. So, sorry to interrupt you,
yes.
But do you think that we should then separate the assembly elections from the
Yes, I will come to that.
Ultimately,
that is, I will answer that ultimately. But very quickly, if you have people who are prepared for politics, and of course, Suleiman, you have a very strong philosophy background. In Plato's Republic, you know how much stringent the process of training the statesman, not the one we found here. That means you have gone through all the necessary subjects to develop your cranial cavity so that you have cerebral content. Somebody who has cerebral content will not fight, because it is when the head fails that the hands take over.
The muscles are...
You understand? When you have somebody who can engage in an intellectual argument and he has all the logic to deploy, he will have less time to think that he's going to use the gun or machete or stick. Instead, you cannot disagree, knowing that you disagree to agree subsequently, and so on and so on. That is why you find that robust argument in the parliament that you have referred. People have gone to school, educated their mind. The uncultivated mind is brutish. So the point we are making here, addressing the issue you raised about whether we should do the election on the same day, if we have people that are quality, they will have something to market. It is immaterial whether we do the election in the same day or spread it over 1 week. Because when somebody speaks, for once, if you are attuned to the same frequency, you will decode him. You will know that he's good. And when you are intelligent, it rubs off. There is a G factor in intelligence, which is why you can drive Beetles as a car, and when you see a Lexus, you transfer learning. You understand? You don't have to go and start all over again as if you don't know how to control a steering. So there is a G factor in intelligence. If you are able to pass in this place, if you go to another place, you will learn quickly how to do things there and pass. So what we are saying is that time has come, and I believe we are getting ripe for that, where if you are appointed, there's a Peter principle, you can promote somebody to his own level of incompetence. Somebody wants to be promoted, you say, oh God, I'm not ready for that position. Leave me where I am. This man said, come into politics, they tell you what is involved, you run away by yourself.
Well, anyway, we're ready. Just time for a break, and we'll come back shortly. Remember the hashtag Nigeria 2015. We'll still have our panelists here. And when we'll come back, we'll be looking at a couple of other issues that we have discussed and see if our Abuja studios is set for us here on the program. Stay with us.